Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Jenny. Today's video is going to be my May favorites and fails. I do have 4 favorites, 1 in between and 1 fail, so let's go ahead and start with the failing product. So the failing product is the Soap & Glory Sexy Mother Pucker Lip Gloss, Plumping Lip Gloss in the shade Plums Up. As a whole, I am not a fan of plumping lip glosses. I feel like they don't do anything and they mostly just hurt for no reason. If you're familiar with the Too Faced lip injections, how that kind of like stings and burns, this like buzzes, like it's like a tingling, like if it made a sound it would be like a buzzing sound. It is the weirdest feeling and it lasts forever. It lasts like 7.5 minutes of just that weird buzzing, and it does nothing for my lips like plumping wise. It just stings it, and it's beautiful. It's just a regular gloss afterward, but that 7 minutes is so uncomfortable that it's not even worth it to me. I can't recommend it. I didn't think it did anything, and it was so uncomfortable to me that it's not even worth putting it on. The in-between product is a product that was actually in my favorites months ago, and it is the EcoTools blending sponge. Now, I do still think that this is a good sponge, but my new favorite is the Wet n Wild sponge. I think this is the best sponge at the drugstore. It's like $3.99, $4.99. It's absolutely awesome. This used to be my favorite sponge, and comparing the two now, this is so hard compared to that. I do still like the flat edge because it does make it really quick and easy to just blend and go, but I don't think it does as good and as seamless of a job as the Wet n Wild one, so I will continue to use the sponge until it gets all nasty. It is pretty nasty. I have used it recently, but I will continue to use it until it's time to toss it, and then I don't think I'll repurchase it unless I can't find the Wet n Wild one. This will be a backup option, but it is just not nearly as good as I thought it was when I first tried it. I have found something better. Overall, it's not a bad product, it's just not as great as it used to be. Okay, so now we are moving into my favorites, and the first favorite is a new brush, and it is the Morphe M433. Lots and lots of people have raved about this brush the past few years. I think Jaclyn Hill's the one who got it started popularity-wise. It's a really interesting shape because when you look at it from this angle, it does just kind of look like a flat, like, packing brush, but when you turn it to the side, it looks like a blending brush, and it is overall like pretty fluffy. So it's really, really good for crease work, overall lid work. It's a very versatile brush. My only gripe with this is that it is so scratchy. I have another brush. This is the M441, and it is a lot softer than this brush is. I don't know why the bristle quality is so different, but this is so scratchy. It's like a little bit painful to blend with. It applies product beautifully, it blends beautifully, but it's just so scratchy in quality. So it is kind of dependent on what you're preferring. If you do have very sensitive eyelids, this might not be a brush for you because it could scratch them and make them very irritated. But as a whole, I think that it applies beautifully, and I will continue to use it. Next is the ColourPop concealer, and I have used this in the past, but it was the first release of it, which this is what the packaging looks like, and this is what it looks like now. It is that kind of like frosted matte as opposed to what it used to be. So I repurchased this because this oxidized so bad when I first got it. It still oxidizes really bad, but this new formulation does not, and it is fuller coverage than this was. But so I have been using them together, but where this gets darker, I use it as kind of almost like a liquid bronzer. It's not that dark, but so I use it around the cheekbone area, around the forehead, and a little tiny bit on the jawline, and I use the light to highlight and to conceal like I normally would. I really, really love doing that. It is what I did to my face today. It is most of the base. I do have a little tiny bit of a BB cream underneath it, but it is the majority of the coverage. This has excellent full high coverage under the eyes. It looks beautiful. It wears beautifully throughout the day. I think the concealer is like $6 or $8. It's excellent quality, super cheap. I really, really like it, and I will continue to repurchase it. I have been using this over my NYX and over my Makeup Revolution. I have really been enjoying this. So next product's going to be a little bit confusing because this is the Coty Airspun powder, but this is definitely not the Coty Airspun container. So the story goes, a long time ago, I was really into this Bella Pierre banana powder, but it was very yellow, so I mixed it with the RCMA No Color powder and put it in the Coty Airspun container. I have used this powder recently, and I don't know why I liked it, because this concoction that I made forever ago is awful now. It does not set anything, it creases really bad, it looks really cakey, so I am going to throw this away. But the product that is inside here is the Coty Airspun, and I have been using this non-stop. Where it is getting warmer, I am starting to get a little bit more oily, so I will bake in the T-zone. I haven't baked in forever, but I'm loving it under the eyes and down the T-zone where I get oily, and then I will set my face with a different powder. But I have been loving this under the eyes and on the nose specifically because it does kind of help fill in these pores, and it keeps me matte in those areas throughout the day. And where it's getting hotter, I need to be kept matte in those areas. So I have been loving the Coty Airspun. I definitely will be picking up the full size again once I run out of this. Oh shoot. But I have really been loving it. It's really cheap. It's like $5 or $6 at Walmart. Really good product. It does have that old lady smell, but that personally has never bothered me. I know it bothers lots of people, but scent doesn't really bother me in products a whole lot. But as a whole, that's a really good powder and it's dirt cheap. I use the translucent extra coverage and I think it's a really, really great product. So the last favorite is one that I have recently done a first impressions on. It is the LA Girl Hot Heat palette, and this is in the variation Vacay Everyday. I did not mention that in my first impressions haul. I didn't realize it had an actual name. I will link my first impressions video up here in case you're interested in checking it out. But as a whole, this is a really, really beautiful quality palette. It was $14.99, which seems a bit steep. This palette is exclusive to CVS stores only. You cannot get it online. But I think that the color story here is really, really pretty. You have these like cooler tone purples down here mixed with like these kind of more warm orangey and like pinky shades. I think you can get lots and lots of looks out of this. Very tropical, very warm. The quality is really great. All of the mattes are really creamy and blendable, and then all of the shimmers are very high impact, very beautiful. I do recommend this. There is a more colorful variation. You can see that in the other video as well. But as a whole, this one is really, really nice, and I'm looking forward to using it more throughout the summer. So those have been my favorites and fails for the month of May. Make sure you come back next month for my favorites and fails of June. Thank you for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. And if you would like to subscribe, please feel free, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.